All right, welcome to the Late Discipleship Ministry. And today's question is, what is the revelation in the call to present ourselves a living sacrifice unto God and to renew our minds? And I think God calls us to have a renewed mind, a mind that is centered on Christ, a mind that is not conformed to the world, especially to the wisdom and the power of the world. A living sacrifice isn't about adhering to certain rules and certain laws or certain traditions of men or the rudiments of the world. It's about focusing entirely on Christ. Although we still live in this world, although we are still alive in this world, we are part of various races. We are part of various groups. We are part of various social statuses. So we are urged to let go of these earthly identities, because these identities are the identities born from the foundation of sin and death. So imagine someone who was once proud of their cultural heritage or social standing, that they might have found their identity and their worth in being a Jew. They come to the place where being a Gentile is the ultimate identity they possess. Or in their wealth, they are rich, they are poor, they are mighty, and because of that, they focus more on their status and their wealth. And they use their status and their wealth to take advantage of that to oppress those who are below them in terms of status. To oppress those who they think they are more wealthier than, in that sense. But when they come to Christ, they are to kill, or they are called to kill that mindset, to sacrifice that mindset, to no longer boast in that identity, to no longer boast about who and what they are in the flesh. Because in Christ, earthly distinctions no longer qualify or disqualify us in any way. You see, when Paul wrote in his letter to the Romans, seeking to unite both Jews and Gentiles by showing that we were all under sin, but now we are made one in Christ. Paul writes, and he wrote, and saying that in Romans chapter 12, verse 1 and 2, he said, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable or logical service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. And what's the will of God? The will of God is that you become one with Him. The will of God is that everybody, by the cross, by the death, by the mercy of God, everybody is seen as good by God. Everybody is seen as acceptable by God. Everybody is seen as perfect by God. So that mindset of God should be our mindset, because that mindset does not align with the mindset of the world. So we cannot conform to the mindset of the world when we have a new mindset telling us that we are one. Our bodies are one. So you can be black, you can be white, you can be tall, you can be short, you can be anything. Your body is to be presented to God as a living sacrifice in that sense. So a living sacrifice simply means that we kill our attachment to earthly distinctions, whether it's our race, black or white, whether it's our status, rich or poor, whether it's our gender, male or female, or even our religious affiliations. Whether we are Muslims, we are Hindus, it doesn't matter. We are called to sacrifice all our earthly identities to know that in Christ we are all one. And true unity in Christ transcends beyond all human divisions. And that's why Paul wrote in Galatians 3:28 and says that there's neither Jew nor Gentiles, there's neither bond nor free, there's neither male nor female, but you are all one in Christ. So in Christ, we find a new identity that brings us, together, no matter how our background or no matter about what our backgrounds are. When Paul wrote to the Romans to unite them with the gospel, it was to bring their mind to the mind of God concerning the division that they were facing. Paul's message was clear, that the unity is not based on human distractions. God is not done with the Jews, so you think that you, the Gentile, you are in a privileged position. You, both Jews and Gentiles, you are all under sin, and now you've all been raised, and now you've all been placed in the righteousness of God. So I'll tell you that a living sacrifice is bringing our minds in line with God's. That we acknowledge His mercy, we acknowledge His grace. And it's about believing that the mind of God is in us. And the mind of God in us is shaping how we see ourselves and how we see one another. You see? So this transformed mindset in the person of Jesus Christ reveals how God views all of us. God views you as holy, He views you as acceptable, and you are pleasing to Him. There's nobody that is not pleasing to God. Everybody is pleasing to God because in Christ He is well pleased. You see? So not because of our earthly or spiritual status. It doesn't matter whether I'm a bishop. It doesn't matter whether I'm an archangel. It doesn't matter whether I'm a God's general. It doesn't matter because the grace of God has been made available to all of us. So you think about it this way. Think of the old temple system where sacrifices were brought to make people right with God. In the same way, we are called to sacrifice our earthly identity, laying it down to embrace a new identity in Christ. Anyone who performed that sacrifice went home feeling good that God has accepted him. God has accepted his sacrifice. You see, so this is our intelligent and logical sacrifice, recognizing that through Christ, all the differences that once divided us has now been settled. That is why he went ahead. That is why he went ahead in Romans chapter 12, verse 3 and 4. He said, "For I say to you, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God has dealt to every man the measure of faith. For as we have many members in one body, we are all members, have not the same office." So despite our diversities, we are united by one Spirit. Despite our differences, we are united by the very baptism that is in Christ. So our humility, our unity in Christ is that we appreciate the unique roles we all play, but yet we know and acknowledge that we are in one body. So in a practical term, this means that coming before God with the mindset that we are now one with Him. It means that your earthly distinction no longer defines you. Your race no longer defines you. Your status no longer defines you, because God does not show favoritism. He has given you purely everything. So don't look at the poor man who comes to church and say, "You go and sit at the back." And now you accept the rich one and you make the rich man a deacon or part of the financial committee or part of the elders. You see, you must come to the place where your true identity defines, is found in Christ alone. And this is what makes you holy and acceptable before God. So a living sacrifice then is a logical response to God's mercy, to think with the mind of Christ, to see yourself as God sees you, to live out this new identity in every aspect of your life. And I hope that is clear. And may the good Lord be with all of us. May your day be better than mine. Bye.